For this lesson, you're going to be making a word guessing app called Guess It. Let's go ahead and take a look at it being played. I've got the finished version of the Guess It app here, and I've gotten a friend, Ernesto, to help demo it. Alright, so here's my app. The first thing you're going to want to do is press the play button. After you press play, a word is going to pop up on the screen. What you want to do is position it so that your friend can see what the word is, but you cannot. Then, to the best of their abilities, they're going to act out whatever the word is. Door, new house. House, some sort of building. Door. Door frame? All right, if you can't guess the word, there's this handy-dandy skip button down here. Roll. Okay, so if you get it correct, go ahead and press the Got It button, and then just try to see how many you can get in a minute. There are two buttons, one for skipping a word and one for saying you got it correct. Every word that you get correct, you get a point, and every word you skip subtracts a point. And finally, there's a screen which shows your total score. As an optional feature when you finish the code, you can also add a phone buzz when the final countdown starts and when you get a correct word. So this is the final form of the app. Let's see the starting code. So here's what the starting code does. It lets you guess words and count a score, but it doesn't have a timer or a buzzer. It just stops the game when you go through all the words. Let's take a closer look, starting with the activity. The activity here is basically blank. It's just here to host the navhost fragment, which you learned about in the navigation lesson. Taking a look at the project, we have 3 fragments, separated into the game, score, and title packages. These are for the game screen, the score screen, and the title screen. I'm separating the code associated with each of the app screens into different packages so that it's a little easier to find associated files. Let's go ahead and see how these fragments connect through navigation. I'll open up main navigation here to take a look at the navigation graph. In this navigation graph, you can see the order of the fragments. The title fragment goes to the game fragment, goes to the score fragment. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the code for one of these fragments. I'm going to start with the title fragment. The code for the title fragment's pretty short. After all, it just has a single button on it. First, we set up the data binding, and then we hook up this on-click listener for the play game button. When the play game button is pressed, you navigate over to the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the game fragment. The game fragment is where most of the action takes place. At the top, I've got variables for the current word and the current score. Then there's the word list. These are the words that the players will act out, and it's stored in a mutable list of string. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see where we're setting up this mutable list, and that it's shuffled, which is why it needs to be mutable. So this list here is a list of very randomly generated words that I've provided you with, but you should feel free to add more or different words. This app could easily be customized for an app that's all about guessing animals, or guessing your favorite movies, or guessing Android concepts, really anything. So this is the logic for the reset list method. If I scroll down a little bit more, I see the logic for when onSkipped is pressed and when onCorrect is pressed. OnSkipped just subtracts one for the score, and then updates the text to show the next word. OnCorrect does basically the same thing, it just adds one to the score instead of subtracting. If I scroll up, I can see the implementation of next word. And what that does is, as long as the list isn't empty, it'll go ahead and remove the next word, and set that as the current word, and then update the screen. If the word list is empty, it calls game finished, and I can scroll up a little bit more, and we see game finished here, just navigates us onto the game score screen. So right now, the game finishes after you finish cycling through all the words in the list once. But as I mentioned, later you're going to make this be triggered by a timer, so that the game only lasts a minute. Another thing to note is that when the game ends, the score is passed to the score fragment using safe-args. Okay, let's mosey on over to the score screen. And here we are in the score fragment, which is the final screen that they'll see. And you can see here that we retrieved the score from the argument bundle, and then use that to display the final score. There's also a button here that navigates you back to let you play again. Finally, I want to go back to the main navigation nav graph, and talk a little bit about how back navigation works, since you might miss it. When we navigate from the game destination to the score destination, I have set a pop-to behavior here. What the pop-to behavior does is it modifies the back stack to pop off the game destination. This ensures that if you hit the back button from the score screen, you're never going to be taken back to a finished game, because that would be a little bit weird. This starting code is pretty solid, but there are a few subtle lifecycle related issues. So what I want you to do now is try changing the lifecycle state by opening and closing the game, rotating the device, and then hitting that back button. See if you can discover any bugs in the game, and then answer the next question.